I got a few minutes spare. But yeah, not a lot to do on this bike. Right guys, so run into another problem with this lovely bike. Didn't really want my dad seeing what I've done, so sorry Dad. Is to get it fitted to the bike and hope my dad don't notice. So, bit of a nightmare really with the Exactweld. So this bike is a TZ250L model engine put into an Exactweld frame. It's running a HH320 kit. I believe it's on PowerJet carbs, not sure if they're the standard ones or what. The pipes on it are supposedly built for this bike and this setup. And then obviously we didn't get an ignition with the bike. So the bike's on a HPI ignition. I set the ignition up as per the instructions and the bike made 45 brake horsepower. A 250 normally sees 64 plus. So it's a little disheartening. I played about with ignition, the jetting seems fine, played about with ignition, but I had to really advance it to get the power out of it. I managed to get a run of 60 brake horsepower. I still think there's something wrong. So today I'm going to go and do static timing on it and see where it's actually firing, what it's doing, and then if the ignition timing is right and it has had to be advanced too far to get power, I'm going to try some different pipes on it. I've got TZ350 pipes for the old Gs, so I'll try a few of them pipes and see if something happens. But as we stand at the moment, a month away from the first round, it's not looking good. So yeah, like I say, spent all this money, brand new suspension, 18-inch wheels, rebuilt the motor, and it's just not making power. And to put it into perspective, like I run the reverse cylinder before I run the Exactweld, and the reverse cylinder puts 68 brake horsepower out, and that's still a 250. So a 350 should be putting out some decent figures. Like we know, the V-twin puts out 77, so we'd like to be somewhere in between at least with, you know, good torque, but the power curve just doesn't look right and there's something going on. So let's get into it. Let's check the static timing and let's try and move forward with this. Right guys, I couldn't remember where the timer was set, so check again. Like, you know, the time it takes to check this, if I carried on and I hadn't set it in the right place, then that would have been wasted time. So it's always worth just doing your checks, making sure everything's right. So we're set on the first big line at 3.5 mil. This is where my mate says the HPIs work best. So we just set it there for now. I'm going to check the static timing, see what curve and advance that gives us and how much it retards as the engine revs. And just make sure that's all right. And if that's all right, then it'll be on to pipe testing.
Wake up, get up and
So guys, the issue with the 320, what we have found is the 320s use TZ350 pistons, and now the pistons haven't been matched to the ports. Now it only looks like a couple of millimeters, but that changes the port timing massively. And the first thing one of my TZ mates said, have you matched the pistons to the ports? And no, the pistons haven't been matched to the ports. So guys, we have the 350 pistons that were in the 320. And I've also got a 250 standard piston. I've got out of my stock 250 barrel, and then we've got the 320 barrels. Now what we found is when we put the 250 piston in the 250 barrel, it sits lower than the inlet port and you can't see the piston. So there's the piston and it falls straight down. When we put the TZ 350 pistons in the 320 barrels, we're still seeing the piston sitting up, and that's affecting the port timing. So what we're going to do is we're going to match these pistons to the 250 pistons, cut the skirt away on the inlet side, and then measure the port timing respectively and go from there.
But it's absolutely freezing tonight, so you're going to have to put up that train in the background. So guys, the Exactweld, where are we? Well, so as you can see from the video, we found that the pistons were covering up the inlet port. That affects the inlet port timing, so we modified that. We changed the pistons to the same depth as the 250L pistons would have been. Set it so that the port timing was the same as the 250L, which you would have thought that the barrels pretty much the same porting, that would be the ideal place. Made no difference. Well, saying that, it has made a difference. So if we run the ignition at the same place that was making the best power, which on the timing light was 40 degrees at 3000 RPM, then that gives it 62 brake horsepower instead of 60 brake horsepower. So we've actually made 2 brake horsepower when we can get the power. If we put the timing back to where the book says, we're actually making more power than we were, but we're only making 53. So yeah, it's made a difference. Was it the remedy we were looking for? No, it wasn't. So what's the plan? Well, the plan is we're going to get a programmable CDI, and I'm going to make a ignition map suitable for this bike. So basically, looking at the ignition map that comes on the HPI ignition, you see that it shoots up to 4 grand and then it tails off straight away. Now this bike makes peak power at 10,500 RPM, and the 10,500 on the HPI power, the ignition map, it's already dropped 15 degrees. So when you set it at 30, you're down at 15. When you set it at 40, you're up at 25. So it's saying that it wants more ignition advance at the higher RPM to make the power. So we need to do some testing with a mappable ignition so that we can find where it makes power, where it's safe, and then we can write our own ignition map, and that should make the bike make power safely and controllably, so we can control where the ignition is firing, so we can make the power, and we can set it so, like say at low RPMs, it's not excessively advanced. So the problem was, when we was making a lot of power, when the bike wasn't making power, so at the low RPMs where a two-stroke, piston-ported two-stroke without power valve struggles, it was popping. And then as soon as it come onto the power, it was fine. But when you're running the ignition advance and it's popping, it makes you think that it might be detonating. It might not be, it might just be, you know, firing back through the carbs or whatnot, because it's not on the pipe, it's not where it makes power. But I'm not willing to take that risk. I'd rather have a programmable ignition, do some proper testing with ignition positions, and then make a proper map and be safe and get the power and, you know, reliability as well. So that's the plan. We're going to get a programmable ignition. If that doesn't work, I've already spoke to Andy at 2T Engineering. He wants to put an Ignitec on it. I'm slightly against it because I don't want to run a battery on an old bike. It's not designed to run a battery. I'd prefer not to. So let's see if these HPI programmable ignitions are worth the money. They're expensive. It's cost me 450 quid to upgrade from a standard ignition to a programmable one. See if it's worth the money, see if it works, see if it does what we want it to do, and then we'll go from there. So that's the plan with that. So why's the bike back on the ramp? Wow, let's show you what's turned up. So we've had a delivery from Manxon Suspension. This is our custom built shock absorber. You might say, well, it looks like a TZ one. Well, it does, yes. It's got the same sort of body, same ends. However, this shock has been designed to fit the other way up. So normally, it'd fit that way up, with the spring right up the top by the headstock, and then the body coming down to the swinging arm. For us, we need it to be adjustable while it's on the bike, and the shock sits inside a tube. So we've had it done the opposite way around. We've got a remote reservoir fitted to it. So the shock actually goes with the body up to the headstock, and then the spring and the rebound adjuster are down by the swinging arm, so they're accessible. So we can change the settings without taking the shock off the bike. And then obviously we've got the remote adjuster for the compression. It's got two, it's got the high speed and the low speed, so we've gone for the GP adjuster on there. And that can be accessed as well without having to take anything off the bike. So we can change settings whilst, you know, we're using the bike rather than having to strip it down, take the shock off, put it back on. So yeah, really happy, looks stunning as always. So I'm going to get that fitted to the bike. And yeah, hopefully it puts a few smiles back on my face after a frustrating weekend. So the first job is to get the bike up on the peg stands. That'll let us take the stand off the rear wheel. We take the rear wheel out. We have to drop the exhaust down a little bit. Then we can get access to the pins. I think we've got to take the seat and the mud guard, mud flap, whatever you call it. Bit of trim out. And then there's only one bolt at the top, so it's tank off, one bolt at the top, and then the shock should slide out through where the rear wheel is, and then we can put the new shock in, and we'll go from there. So that's the plan. So guys, got the shock out now. The purple one is the new Maxton and the black one is the Olin's original one. I know you're probably all thinking, Olin's is decent, why change to Maxton? Well, the thing for me is Maxton are easily approachable, so if I ever have any issues with a bike, I can just ring up Maxton and say, it's doing this, what should I do? And they'll give me advice, or they'll say, send the shock back, we'll put another shim stack in it or something, or they'll work with me. I don't have contacts for Olin's. The Olin's is out of date, so it needs a good service, it needs modernising. Olin's is obviously what people think is top of the range, but for a customer, the service you get from like a company like Maxton is always second to none. In comparison to the big companies who are just another number two, really.
These things, there's more inside the feeling than there is inside the ring. So keep dreaming of the sunshine and the blue sky up above. You gotta leave it all. We all know the real love is outside.
Right guys, so run into another problem with this lovely bike. So whoever's put the swinging arm shock mount on, they've put it off centre, so it's actually lower than the shock can go. Obviously with the skinnier Olin's they got away with it, but with our Maxton shock we're not going to have to, so I'm going to have to put some new shock mounts onto the swinging arm. See how we get on there. So yeah, fun. And there's the swinging arm off. I put it on the bench and then we'll crack on tomorrow night. So two-stroke fans, this is how we left the Exactweld. Removed the swinging arm for some repairs, modified a shock mount, and yeah, it's looking kind of sorry for itself. So I have finished the swinging arm. I've not recorded any of it. Didn't really want my dad seeing what I've done, so sorry Dad. So I found some damage from the, let's lift it up so you can see it. So basically I found some damage. The bottom chain guard was missing. There was just 2 bolts in the hole. So I've made a lovely green one. Sorry about the colour, but that's the only plastic I had about. So that's done. And then where the chain comes through the frame spars, it's been digging into the swinging arm there. So I've welded up that and repaired it. I've done that. And then I've made 2 new shock mounts for the front of it. So tonight's job is to get it fitted to the bike and hope my dad don't notice. Right, I'm gonna get cracking. Right guys, swinging arms back in, back end's built up, shocks on, feels quite nice to be fair, first initial push on it. Maybe a little bit soft, maybe not, we don't know, need to get it on track and see what it does. I've just got to fit the pipes and then the bodywork, but I'm going to end it now because this episode has been a bit exciting, let's be honest. So I'm going to end it here, but tune into the next episode and see what turned up today and what the new exciting parts are for this build.
Like and subscribe to Smithy with his tiny little stiffy.
But yeah, not a lot to do on this bike.